fishing, it's in my soul.
Welcome to the Salt Strong Podcast, disrupting fishing entertainment as you know it. Prepare to laugh. Prepare to get to know fishing legends in a whole new and unfiltered way. And on occasion, you might even learn a thing or two about fishing. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
Hello, Salt Strong Nation. Joe Simons, like diamonds. We are back. Lukey Simons, like diamonds. What's a good word, dude?
Just ready to talk fishing.
Ready to talk fishing. We're breaking down the 5 steps, just 5, and sometimes only 3 or 4, but 5 would be the absolute worst case.
5 max.
5 max. And this is proven over and over and over again. We're going to show you some examples. We're going to show you some testimonials. We're going to get in the community and actually show you all 5 steps in action. And these are the 5 steps to be able to go out there any weekend of the year, regardless of what's going on, unless there's obviously a hurricane, you can't go fishing. But almost every single weekend of the year and catch an inshore slam. This is about tight lines. This is about basically just empowering you with everything you need, including the confidence to go out there and be in the feeding zone, that 90-10 zone. Hopefully a lot of you have already seen the 90-10 webinar where we talk about putting you in the feeding zone, that 90% of all feeding fish are just in about 10% of any area. And that's what this is about. So this is about breaking down those steps, because a lot of people say, okay, cool, I get it. But like what are the steps? And I think all of us as humans, we love checklists, right, Luke? We love being able to say, all right, boom, I just have to do these 5 steps and I'm going to be able to do it. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to pull up before you pull up your screen. Let's see if I can get this.
And just clarify thing too. So the 90-10, it's 10% of the spots are holding 90% of the fish at any given time. The tough part is that 10% zone is moving, so it's not fixed. That's like the one thing we really want to emphasize, is that it's not about GPS spots. If you're focused on GPS spots, like we've done, everybody does it. You're going to be missing the ball. And because those spots, the fish move when they're not comfortable, they move when a certain food is in the area or not in the area, they're going to move. And the key is to focus on where they're going to move and why. And that's what these 5 steps will help you solve.
Yes, which is why we always preach. It's not about just the spot. It's about the type of spot. So you can see my screen here. For those of you listening, I'm just going to read it to you. So I wanted to show this because it just happened 23 hours ago. This is the title, and this is in our private insider community. It says, first trip since joining Salt Strong. And this guy, Dion, he actually followed all 5 of these steps, which is why I'm so excited for you guys to see it. So he did exactly what we're going to show you today. And here's the results. So he just posted this 23 hours ago. Says, after several years of not having a boat, we decided to get back in the game. And he's in Swansboro, North Carolina, by the way. So this doesn't just work for people in Florida. So he's in Swansboro, North Carolina. This was our first trip since joining Salt Strong, and we had a blast. We watched several videos and put together our plan for the day, which we're going to talk about. It was super windy and a falling tide, which led us to target creek mouths that emptied into larger bodies of water that was protected from the wind. We ended up with 2 flounder and a puppy drum. That was his first redfish. And if you guys can't see this, this is his son, who I don't know how old he is. If I missed that part, I'm guessing he's 10, 11-ish based on how he looks here. That was his first redfish. Thanks, Joe and Luke. That was just what we needed. Thank you for helping me make memories with my son. And he's got a little video here. I don't know if the sound will pick this up or not. You can see he's so pumped up at the end, has his that's a flounder there on the leprechaun. But I think that's so cool. And that's a testament that this stuff does work as long as you follow the system, as long as you follow the proven blueprint that's working everywhere from Texas to Florida to the Carolinas. So let me stop sharing, or Luke, if you want to kick me out, there we go. Kick me out. And let's start with step number 1. And here's the great news. If you're currently an insider member, you already have access to all of this stuff and everything that we're going to show to you. The bad news is if you're not, you need to join us today, because 2 of these steps, 2 of the most critical steps out of the 5, you have to be an insider member. This is the stuff that we've spent now well over 7 figures of our money building behind the scenes. And a lot of it too is like literally hand-on-hand coaching. Like literally every single Friday, getting on a map and on a video and showing our members what types of areas are going to be holding fish for that weekend. So step number one is to watch a 10-minute video. All of our members do it. It's something we send out every single Friday. It's so consistent. It's just like the moon coming up. You know what's going to happen. It's every Friday, and it's usually 10 minutes or less. And it is like everyone who watches it says like, oh my gosh, like you guys have made finding the best spots and finding fish so much easier. So Luke, do you want to pull that up? And for the current insider members, you'll know what this looks like. If you're not, hopefully Luke can pull one up here.
Yeah, and so before we get into it, as Joe mentioned, is that this is all about getting away from the GPS spots. Hey, look, yes. I'm going to go fishing 2 months from now. What spot should I fish? You might get some good information, but it's going to be a flip of the coin if the spot's going to be good or not, because those fish are moving. They're moving based on the conditions. So instead of the GPS spots, hey, like I'm going to this area, what spot should I fish? It's really about what type of spot should I be fishing based on these conditions, because that is what the conditions themselves, conditions meaning the tide cycle, in or out, the temperature, is it trending warmer, trending cooler? Very big deal. Something that most people overlook. We all overlooked it. We overlooked for many years. And also wind speed and wind direction. If you're not putting those as part of your plan, as part of your decision making on what spots you're going to go to and when, your results are going to be all over the place. And you probably have seen that, right? We all, again, everybody does this. And I did it for at least 10 plus years. And it was very frustrating because I would have like 2 good days in a row and be like, finally, I solved the problem. I solved the puzzle. And then I go like 3 bad days in a row. And I was going to the same spots, but the conditions changed, which made those spots no longer good, is what I later learned. And so this is all about picking the right spots based on the conditions. And so step number 1 is to know what the trending feeding zone, what the trending feeding zones are. What type of spots have the fish been holding in and feeding in throughout the week? And so another thing that I learned the hard way as well is that near term, like recency information, a trending feeding zone within the week is way more valuable than looking back like 10 plus years for like year over year analysis, because every year is so different. Some years it gets colder than others. Some years it gets warmer. It's really tough to do. I used to make so detailed. I used to go on every trip and I'd have my tide chart printed out, and I would note on every single fish I caught where it was and where on the tide cycle was, and I kept it in a folder. And I had like 5 years of stuff, but I got no value out of it, because the next year I would look at it and I'd go back to those same spots on the same month and the same moon phase, and it wasn't working because the weather was just so much different. Sometimes the winter comes early, sometimes it comes late. Sometimes here in Florida, it doesn't seem like it comes at all. And so it's really about what is happening very recently. And it's shocking how much that actually, like even the entire Southeast, you can really get a good forecast, because these weather systems basically push through, and it's all within a few days. And the fish behave the same way on trending weather.
So recency trumps the historical stuff all day long. And that was something, like I said, I think most people go about it the opposite. We did forever, right? I mean, you just said you get like a file cabinet worth of just old historical stuff that's kind of worthless. And now it's like all about recency, which is why like the number one thing we talk about on why you should join the Insider Club if you haven't is real-time trends, like real-time recency. What's happening right now in your area, in your region.
And specifically real-time human intelligence. That's not because we have a lot of data with machine learning, because we now have over 20,000 reports from us and members. And yes, the output is kind of helpful, but historical analysis from computer systems, it'll never incorporate the actual movements of fish. It's just impossible. And so the human intelligence is key. It's crucial. That was my biggest change once I started networking when I was doing tournaments. I was networking with other teams, and even though none of us were full-time guides, we were actually competing and beating, in many cases, full-time guys, because we were all sharing the human intelligence. Not everybody could fish before the tournaments. So the ones in our group who would fish would just share what was happening with the others. And it was shocking how much of an impact that made. So this is really about the human intelligence factor. And so what this is,
and real quick, number 2, artificial intelligence can't grow a beard, so you can't trust it. Okay.
Yeah. So just that alone is pretty clear. But so step number 1 is just to get some insight on what the feeding trends are. And so one way that we do this, the core way, is that so every Friday. So most of the members are fishing on the weekends. So every single Friday, you can see all the details here, is that either me or one of the coaches on our staff will go through and just explain and highlight the core trends that have been happening for our own personal fishing, right? For what we've been seeing personally on the water, plus what members are posting in the community. Right now we're getting, what is it, Joe, like 30, 50 posts a day, something like that, as fishing reports?
Yeah, more than that. I mean, it's like every 7 minutes there's a new one going up. So
yeah, so 7, whatever that math is, I don't know, but there's a lot of reports, and so we're getting real time reports from members, and many of which share really helpful information, again, on the trends, on, okay, I'm seeing them on the wind protected shorelines, or on the windy shorelines, or the shallow water or the deep water, near the inlets, away from the inlets. And so anyhow, so we filter, it's basically like the Cliff Notes. It's the cheat sheet per week on exactly what to look for on your future trip. And then obviously, if the weather is going to change, right, we get on the forecast and we look to see if there's a cold front coming or not. And so we'll explain, okay, here are the trends, and then look at the forecast of the weather, and okay, we have a cold front coming. Even though these were the trends, here are the changes you need to make to your plan, knowing that we have a front coming in. So long story short, it's basically a done-for-you system that is focused on the number one most important thing, which is type of spot based on the trends, based on the conditions. And then number 2 is, okay, like if there is a change of the conditions coming up, what adjustments do we need to make? So very, very important. And this is something that I think all anglers should do before every trip, is to focus on it, because this isn't just one person, right? This is a summary of the entire network of now over 16,000 members.
Yeah, it's curating all of the reports from Texas to Florida, all the way up to Virginia and even New Jersey area that are happening every single week. So powerful. And this, I want to make clear, because I know we all value our time, and that's the reason we did this in 10 minutes or less. This is the longest step, right? And we always tell people, like, if you don't have 10 minutes to pre-trip plan, then you might as well just give up fishing and start knitting or doing something else. I mean, 10 minutes. And this is game changing. Everyone, like this gentleman here in North Carolina, right? A lot of people, that's feedback we get. Oh, you guys are all kind of based in Florida, and we know this works in Florida, but it might not work in my area. It keeps working every week in Texas. It keeps working in Louisiana. It keeps working, obviously, in Florida and in Georgia and South Carolina, North Carolina, and Virginia. Every single week. If you just take 10 minutes, you are going to have an edge over every one of your fishing buddies. If you just take 10 minutes to watch this video every Friday, you are going to know more and have probably more intel than every weekend warrior out there. There's going to be guides who are on the water every day that are going to know more than you, obviously. But in terms of weekend warriors, the guys and gals that you're out there competing with, if you will, and you want to go out there and have more pictures and more awesome fish pics and more memories like this dad over here did, you are going to be armed and dangerous just by watching these 10 minutes. This is like the hardest part, and that's really pretty easy, just to set aside 10 minutes on a Friday to watch it. It's
a click of the button and watch it. And again, the core benefit
that's not even enough time to eat popcorn, dude. It's 10 minutes.
Yeah. Maybe it's little small bags they have now. But yeah, it's the core, just so you understand, the core reason for this is because we know that 10% of the water is going to hold 90% of the feed and fish. And so we know that 90% of the water is going to be pretty much junk or waste of time. And it's dead zone, feeding zone, dead zone is the easy way to think about it. And so that 10-minute video is just going to make sure that your target is going towards that 10% zone. It's a macro view that just talks about the macro level stuff that, again, most people do it totally wrong, and they're focused somewhere where it's not a guaranteed dead zone, but the odds of it being good are very slim. Whereas this is just about, okay, let's make sure that the train is going in the right direction. That's the goal.
Can you click on one real quick just so people can see how easy it is? You don't have to read a lot. You literally just got to click a button and watch it for 10 minutes.
And so all these pictures are from members. So this is what, the stuff is coming from. And so you literally just click on it. When you are a member, you can access it. It just has a high level video. And so here
9 minutes, 34 seconds.
9:34. Yeah, we promise that it's under 10. And then, so we actually have a checklist. So I'm not going to show it just because members are paying for this. So we have the links. Then this short, so here's a checklist. So every week, even if you somehow can't set aside 10 minutes, there's a checklist on a good spot checklist, right? Okay, so what things do you need to have in a spot for it to be worth your time is basically what it's all about. And there's literally, we take it down to, it's usually between 3 and 6, depends on what's happening, but it's okay. What do you need to think about? Simplify it as much as possible. If you don't have time to watch a 10-minute video, what are the 3 to 6 things you need to see? What features do you need to keep in mind for deciding if a spot is worth your time and spending there or not?
So it's like the cliff notes of the cliff notes.
Yeah, the ultimate cliff notes. So again, super important. This is just, again, something that we wish we had years ago. That's the reason why it's there. And the feedback from it's been excellent. And obviously, as you get proficient in doing it yourself, you obviously don't have to do it every time. But for everybody who starts, we always highly recommend going through these.
And we have captains who are members who watch the same stuff. Full-time captains. And this is kind of like we call it a fishing coach. It's like having a captain on speed dial. You can call up every Friday and say, hey, run down 10 minutes. Just tell me everything that's working right now. Where are you seeing fish? What kind of depths? Where's the bait? Like literally just telling you everything you'd possibly need to know in 10 minutes or less. It is game changing if you just do this step alone. So that's step number 1. I know we spent a lot of time on it because it is the longest step. Let's talk about step number 2.
Right.
Which is now you're armed and dangerous. You know where to be looking. Now we need to start going and looking more detailed at the weather and the tides in your specific area to get a little bit better game plan.
Yeah. So from step number 1, we now know, you'll know after you watch that video, or at least just look at those 6 bullet points, is you'll know the core things to think about on what spots to choose from.
Types of spots.
Yeah. So the types of spot based on the conditions. And so now we need to know, okay, what are the conditions? Right. So we know the type of spots. Now we need to know the conditions that we're going to be facing while we're out there. And so that's where smart fishing tides comes into play. Obviously, there's a lot of different tide systems that you could use. This is one that we did, and it's totally free for all members. And what it has is everything you need to know. So let me just I'll pick a random spot. Pick Gulfport. I've been fishing there a lot lately. And what this has is it'll have a daily score. So a daily score, this is system learning. So it's not as important as the human intelligence that we talked about, but this is based on the algorithm we put together that's seasonal. This will kick out the expected bite, out of a 10. So 0 to 10 score. For those who can pick one day or the other to go fishing, this is kind of just a way to get an idea of picking the smarter play, the smarter day. Also has every hour, has hourly. This is crucial. There's not many tide platforms that has everything in one, and that's where this is unique. So from this one chart, we can see the tides at any given time throughout the hourly tides. Crucial. A lot of tide systems have that, obviously, but what they don't have is the hourly wind speed and the hourly wind direction.
You got some wind cranking there today, dude. 23.
Wind is cranking. That's why I'm here and not out in the water. So again, very, very important. And you can go skip around and then see the trending wind or trending temperature, right? So a cold front just came in, so it's in the mid 60s. We haven't felt 60s in a while. Actually, this is the first 50s I've felt in quite a while. And then we can look a few days forward. Okay, is it trending warmer or is it trending cooler? In this case, it'll be trending cooler like 3 days from now. And so we can take that intelligence and apply it to the game plan. And then we automatically know that we should be targeting wind protected spots with deeper water, with muddy bottoms, or we should be targeting the wind blown shorelines with some hard structure and points. So again, there's obviously there's just, I don't know, to me, this is just invaluable information that will help just, again, guarantee that the train is going towards that 10% zone.
Yep. And we have tutorials for all of our insider members on how to maximize this in a really short amount of period of time. Because we've done entire like step-by-step tutorials and, like, you know, case studies like, hey, if we're fishing tomorrow, here's exactly how we use it and apply it all. For this is more of just like 30,000 foot view of these 5 steps. So everyone, you could be thinking every weekend, all right, I got to watch a 10-minute video. I got to go here, you know, based on what I just learned and figure out exactly in my area. Cause we're going to talk about that in the 10-minute video. But obviously you can't cover every single city in the entire Southeast in 10 minutes. So it's more of a general, the types of spots. And then we're going to talk about here in the weather and obviously tides. You obviously want to be fishing if there's some current flow in most all cases. So what else do you do here, Luke? What else on Smart Fishing Tides?
Yeah, so I spend, this is always my first stop, is I just want to see the wind speed, the wind direction, and the current flow. Current flow meaning is the water coming in or is it going down? Is it going out? And so then we have the hourly feed. This is the feeding. Again, this is the system learning. So it's not going to be perfect, but it's just to help you gauge the time of the day that you should be fishing. We do cover that on the game plan. But this will be the system learning. In most cases, they're accurate. But when in doubt, I always default to the human intelligence first. So this is basically saying, historically for this season and these types of conditions, then this actually factors in the trending weather, the trending wind, trending barometric pressure, just all those little nuances that. At one at a time, it's not that big of a deal, but all put together does make a big deal. And so this is just will help you plan your day if you can. Otherwise, go when you can go is what we always say. But if you can, pick like a certain 3-hour window, and you have a bunch of chores to do, and you want to maximize your time, this will just help you pick the right 3-hour window. Yep. So then on here too, again, this is unique in the fact that this has everything. Right now, the cold front has came in, so we have no clouds in the sky. But if there were clouds, you'd be able to see, this is the radar. So you'd be able to see the radar in motion, just like the Weather Channel, without having to go to any other app or platform or whatever. Unfortunately, it's, I guess fortunate, I should say, there's very clear skies out there. Next thing is a satellite map, right? Satellite maps for those of us who fish shallow water. These satellite maps are amazing. It is invaluable information because you can get on here and you can look in and zoom in and see where the different depth zones are. You can see what docks have structure around them, which ones don't. Which little cuts out here. If the trend is that trout are on the outside flats, you can go out and just find these bars and look to see if there's grass on the outside or not. And obviously, if there are, that's going to be a good spot. And if we know that the trout are on the outside flats and the wind blown flats are holding the most fish, then all we need to do is just find that type of spot based on the conditions, because we know the wind direction, we know the current flow, and we know the trends, and you basically have everything right here.
And this happens to be step number 3. So the cool part about these 5 steps is 2 of them are right here. So number 1 is to watch the 10-minute Smart Fishing Game Plan. Number 2 is go to smartfishingtides.com and check out the weather and the tides, and then scroll just a little bit further down on the same page in your area, and you pick 3 to 5 spots, right? Luke, I know you're pretty good about picking kind of 3-ish generally, and that's kind of what we're teaching a lot of our members is you don't need 15. You don't want to go like too crazy, but pick 3 to 5 really good looking spots based on what you learn in the 10-minute video and based on really the wind direction and the tides. And then, right, anything else you want to add to that?
I usually go 5, okay. And it really depends on if you're fishing all day long, I'd say do at least 1 per hour of fishing you're going to be doing, just to be on the safe side. Because as you do more, as long as you're picking the right type of spots. So first of all, it's impossible to be 100% correct on every spot you choose. I wish that was the case, but it's just not, right? There's always some unique, and it could have just been that a dolphin just went in and just ransacked the spot you were planning on
or
fishing.
a jet ski.
Yeah, or those jet skiers. And so it's really important to have multiple, like having a backup plan. If you don't have multiple backup plans, at least one, you're planning for trouble. So yeah, just pick a few spots again based on the conditions at the given time, and for help on that, for those who are in areas with murky water too, just so you know. Again, another unique thing about this platform is that we have sonar charts. They're called sonar, and what that is it's basically, okay, we can't see underwater with the online maps because the water's too murky or whatever reason. Now we can use this to see where the depth changes actually are. So in this case, this is that same point, right? We can see this shallow flat, and then we can see all these lines really close to one another, and that means there's a shelf. And so obviously you can't see the underwater structure is the bad thing, but at least we can see the shelves. Where are the shelves? And it's very, very important thing to have. And again, this is a unique factor in that we have all of this in one platform where all you have to do is kind of scroll around.
Yep. Smartfishingtides.com. And if you guys are listening, Luke is just looking at both the sonar and satellite, where you can see all the depth changes, all the ledges. You can see any kind of irregular types of spots. And there's a lot there's so many people forget about this. And I have heard from many of our members who actually just spend a little extra time on the sonar, and they're like, oh my gosh, I had no idea this was there.
Like this one right here, Joe. Remember Ike Iaconelli? We had the opportunity to fish with Mike Iaconelli, and I was going from one spot to another, and I didn't realize that this bar was here. It's not very clear on the satellite maps, and we just happened to be out there at a super low tide, and I looked like an idiot.
And it's out in the middle. It looks like it's the last place you think you're about to run aground.
Yeah, because I never bothered looking at this, and that was before we had this built out. So it can help you not look like an idiot, which is always a good thing.
At least you didn't have to get out with your wading boots on and push. So we got close. Well, that's cool. All right, so
let's go for it, Joe.
Step number one. We already talked about, right? Is watch the 10-minute video. That's for our insider members. So that's step number 1, 10 minutes, and you're going to be armed and dangerous. Step number 2 is go to the Smart Fishing Tides and look at the conditions for the day you are going to be fishing. We go out 14 days. Obviously, it gets more and more accurate the closer it is, because it's based on all the weather and the AccuWeather and all the stuff that we're getting data from. And so that's going to be step number 2. And then 3, on the same page. And obviously, if you like using a different map, you can. You don't have to use the Google map there. But get on some type of satellite map based on what you now know, and pick 3 to 5, maybe even 7 spots if you're going to be out there the entire day. And then this 4th piece, this is something that is unique to our insider club / community. And this is optional. We have plenty of members. Like, we have guides who might not do this, right? And we have 17,000 members now. Not everyone does this, because some people have just been doing this for long enough. They've been following these steps for long enough. It's almost like second nature, just like you, right? You have confidence, and you go out there and you kind of skip this part. But for the majority of us, right, the majority of weekend warriors who don't have the privilege of fishing all the time, and don't have that privilege of always being on the water, and just honestly want a little bit of help and coaching, which is what our Insider Club is about, this next step is really, really powerful. I'm gonna share my screen here and show you a couple examples. Can you see this screen, Luke?
Got it.
Okay. So this is Matt Davis. I picked this one because he was one of the first guys to do this. And it's this old Tampa Bay prospecting help looking for advice and input. And a few people had done it at the time. And this is like 2 years old. I went back in the archives to find this one, because this is like one of the first ones where we're like, oh my gosh, this is so helpful. And by the way, he killed it because of all the information he got. So if you're listening, I'll read this for you. It says, fellow insiders, I'm planning on doing some prospecting around Old Tampa Bay, north of the Courtney Campbell Causeway. There's some great areas here, and I've heard from other insiders about their success around here lately. I've narrowed it down to 4 areas. So he did the steps that we've been talking about, that we preach all the time in the Insider Club. And I'm hoping you could all let me know which of these areas you like the most and why. That's the most important thing he asked there, and why, right? Because as Luke mentioned, fish are moving. I mean, they're moving every single tide cycle. We know they're moving every single season. And these spots, like had he asked us at a different time of the year, it might have been completely different answers. So that's what we want to keep hammering home over and over again. So many people, they get that one good spot or that two good spots and like, oh man, I'm set for life. And we know because that's what we did. And then all of a sudden it doesn't work. And then it doesn't work again. You're like, what the heck? I thought this was a good spot. And it's because fish move. And that's why it was so critical that he asked why. And so I'm going to, if you're watching this, you can see what he did. He's got a screenshot of just Google Maps, and he's got 4 arrows pointing to 4 completely different spots. And then he labeled them. You don't have to do all this. I love the fact that he did. So he's got spot A, and he's got it labeled. And this is like a zoomed in version of the satellite map. Spot B, spot C, and spot D. Let's see if I can get out of that. Okay. And so all of a sudden he puts this up there, and look what happens. Tony's one of the first ones to chime in, and he actually like gets on the same map and starts giving him more advice on areas that he's been. I mean, how awesome is that? So now he's got all kinds of intel from Tony. You got Austin, who is a guide, is as well one of our other members, and he talks about a spot that he knows has worked really, really well for him right there in that same area. Get a few more people saying I'd go with either A or C or B or whatever the answer is. And let's see, hopefully this works. There we go. Bill DeWeese, who is very active in that area. I mean, he gives him all kinds of intel. I mean, this is stuff that is priceless, that no one's going to give to you on Facebook. You guys know what happens when you ask something like that on Facebook. No one's going to give this stuff to you anywhere else. It's because we have such a helpful community of people who truly want to see you succeed. Let's look what Bill does. Bill goes in here and puts his own little pins. I mean, he takes the time to do that. And that's what I love about this community is just anglers helping anglers. Bill keeps going on here and shares with them a few more things. And, turns out Matt has an awesome day. So I thought that was just so cool to share an example of what it looks like. Here's another one that was more recently. So it says advice for my first voyage. This is Jeffrey Wilson, one of our insider members. Hello, all. I'm planning my first kayak fishing trips and signing up here. Next time I can get on the water will be Saturday afternoon. So it will be low to incoming tide in 17 miles per hour northeast wind. So once again, he's done step number 2, which is going out into smart fishing tides. And then now he's picked a few spots. He's put a nice label on that. And then he asked for advice. And a lot of people give some really, really awesome advice. And of course, the great news is he has an amazing day. And then afterwards, post a picture of all the fish that he is catching. So this is like having a full-time fishing coach, right? This is why we call the Insider Club like having a fishing guide in your back pocket. You can ask these type of questions. And we have a full-time person, Austin there in Jacksonville, and a full-time person who gets on this stuff. And if he doesn't know the answer, he starts going out and reaching out to our network of guides to find out the answer. So it is like having a concierge like person at your beck and call, obviously not 24 hours a day, but almost 24 hours a day, that will get anything you need answered. And when you have places or types of spots or dissections or an upcoming pre-trip plan that you want us to look at, you will get awesome advice from people usually in your area who have fished that area and know that area pretty well. To me, this is the priceless stuff that you can't even put a price tag on, because you can't get this kind of stuff anywhere else unless you were paying a full-time guide just to give you all their best stuff every single week. Luke, any thoughts on this before we move on?
It's just the ultimate in human intelligence,
Yep.
as you said. I mean, to try to post a question like that in Facebook, and you'll probably get belittled and made fun of. And then here, it's not only accepted, it's appreciated because we all enjoy it.
Yeah, it's encouraged. I mean, we love this because we all learn from it every single time. Like if you go read Bill, if you read that full thing, you will learn something just from reading other people's responses. Like, wow, because Bill's been fishing that area for like 30 years. I mean, he knows it inside and out. So I love this stuff. So I'm on a new one here. This is a Georgia one. So this is in Savannah, Georgia. And I'm not going to read the whole thing, so it's pretty long. But this is another example of a member here who has lived and fished in Savannah the past 12 years, but have never gotten on my boat on purpose. I thought blah blah blah. So he found some areas he wanted to go try that he never tried before. Once again, take some screenshots from Google and put some little arrows on there. And here's one more screenshot as well, talking about where he plans to leave the boat. And this obviously just helps us out as coaches, and it helps the rest of our members not have to figure stuff out when it's labeled well like this. And then boom, I copied Dan because I know Dan fishes that area. So Austin chimes in. He's not too far away. And you can see Dan actually says, "Hey, Bennett, I actually fished that same area. Donnie Burnside Hopper does too. LOL, message me and I'll be happy to walk you through his tactics. It's not for everyone, though. I can promise you that." One last thing. Remember, you're going to be back there in big gator country. Have an exit strategy in case so you need one. So he messaged him. Dan helps him out. And that's the power of the network, of helping each other out. And, normally he would have had no idea. He would have posted something in Facebook. And like Luke said, he would have got a bunch of negative Nancy's, chiming in and probably putting funny fishing memes and stuff like that on there. So I think this part is priceless, and we encourage it. We really do. Everyone learns so much from this, and we want you to succeed. I mean, we have the biggest, baddest, boldest guarantee out there, which is if you're not catching more fish and if you haven't saved money on tackle, then you get your money back after a year. I mean, we have a lot to lose. So we want you catching fish. You have to catch more fish or we end up losing, and we all end up losing. So everyone is in this together. We truly want all of our members to catch more fish, to go out there like that first example I showed you, and create more memories out there with their loved ones. It's not always about catching, the personal best, even though we have a lot of that. But it's all about just going out there and getting tight lines, maximizing your time, and having personally a phone full of pictures. I love that kind of stuff with my kids. And to me, that's the priceless stuff. Even though we're only charging 27 cents a day to be a member, it's only 97 for the entire year. It covers everything. I mean, that's a drop in the bucket. Just from one awesome day, right? How many of you guys would pay 97 just for one amazing day on the water that you take pictures of and that your kids are talking about for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years? To me, I'd pay thousands of dollars for that. And that's what it's all about. So I was trying to go to the next page. It's not going to let me. Yep, there we go. Oh, this stinker up here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but so here's another one. This was just 21 hours ago, and gives Luke a little credit here. So Guy Lavelle, awesome member, been with us for a while. He says, "Luke in the map tab for the win." And this is just another kind of testimonial about how this stuff works. So he's staying at a resort, so he's traveling. And he was there in Fort DeSoto Park, and he happened to just go on the map. And, the map is where we actually have all of our fishing reports. I think Luke mentioned almost like 20,000 reports. He's like, I'm just going to go see what's over there. And ends up catching a jack and let's see, nice snook on the old Slam Shady. Oh, that thing got dirty. And a couple of trout right there from shore. Didn't have to bring his boat, all because of the intel there inside of the club. And that just happened here 21 hours ago. So I wanted to feature that real quick, because I love seeing stuff like that. We all do. And it's the power of the network. That's why we talk about it so much for our members, is make sure you guys are in the community. It's the foundation of the Insider Club. Is so much power there. Yeah, the discounts are awesome. We got people that save $400-$500 a year, but we save 20 to 30% off all the tackle, all rods, reels, etc. But to me, this is the magic. This is where you're talking about maximizing your time. And so you might be saying, all right, Joe, Luke, those are only 4 steps. What's the 5th step? What happens after you post in the community and get feedback on your pre-trip plan? Well, it's go fishing with confidence. It's that simple. So it really is just 4 steps. And the 5th one is actually go put it in action. Go out there on the water. Do everything that you learn. Yeah, as Luke said, it's never going to be perfect. I think even the very best fishermen, if they pick out 3 spots, are going to have to make adjustments just based on what they're seeing on the water. That's another piece that we teach. It's one of the free courses that we give all of our Insider members in terms of, on the water spot dissections and what to look for on the water. But just go put it to action. I mean, that's how you learn. That's how you get better. And then go back to the community and post your pictures like Guy did, and like so many people are doing every single day in the Insider Club. And just let us celebrate with you. That's really what it's all about. Luke and I and all of our fishing coaches, Tony, Wyatt, and Austin, we absolutely love getting in there every day and just giving the old thumbs up and leaving a little pow comment on there. Just once again, celebrating with our members. There is just nothing better than seeing someone, especially someone who struggled, which all of us have, by the way. 100% of us have struggled with catching fish at one point or another, or are currently. And it is so cool to see someone who had struggled and just couldn't put it together. They follow the simple 5 steps that don't really take that long in the big scheme of things, and go put it to action, and all of a sudden start catching fish. And they're like, I can't believe it's this easy. And it is. I mean, it becomes a whole lot easier to consistently get bites and to get strikes and get tight lines when you put a system in place like this. 5 easy steps.
Yeah.
What do you think, Lukey?
Well, I would say there's 2 hardcore facts in fishing. Number 1 is we've all struggled. If anybody says you haven't, this might not be truthful. You're not just born to be able to fish. It's something that's learned. And then number 2 is that it is literally impossible to know everything about fishing. And this whole community is filled with people who know and understand both facts to be true. And that's why, let me share the screen so you can see, the people can see the map. Is that, this is again a significant network of anglers. This isn't just the Florida thing, because we're based in Florida. We have members all across the Gulf. You can see here in this map, tons of pins. So all of these pins, this is like a Facebook group that actually logs everything geographically as well. And so you can see there's a lot of engagement in Texas. There's the engagement in Louisiana, all along the coast. Obviously, Florida has a ton as well. Just check Tampa Bay. Look at that. That's like all pins. Those are all individual reports that are part of this system. And then going up the Atlantic, this is an enormous network. And so knowing that it's impossible to know everything, and knowing that all of these pins have some helpful tips and tactics, it is literally impossible to not learn something new if you just spend just a little bit of time going through the reports. Yep. Obviously, we do the summary. If you don't have much time, at least just do that 10-minute video that summarizes everything at a high level. But if you do have some time, just going through some of these individual posts, there's a wealth of information in there. I've learned an absolute ton just from simply taking a little bit of time and reading those posts. Can't emphasize it enough.
I know on the last video, I'll bring it up here. If you I was going to say, keep that back up, please.
I'll pop it up.
Yeah, in the last video, someone when we had the map up, like, hey, you guys' map's all messed up. You can't catch redfish and trout and flounder in the middle of these states. And if you're wondering why there's pins that just aren't on the coast, we do have a lot of people who are either traveling or live in other states, and they're putting their bass fishing pics. There's a lot of bass catches as well, which we love. I mean, even though our name is Salt Strong, we grew up, our teeth were cut catching bass and bluegills, and we celebrate all fishing. We do not discriminate here on the fish at all, and we love seeing the bass pics. And the cool news is, once you're in the community, it's broken out and categorized, by region and even by species. So if you didn't want to see any bass stuff, you could literally click a button and eliminate all that stuff. For some guys, hey, like I take the family up to Georgia once a year and the little lake up there, and I want to see all the reports for that area. And so it's helped me out even there in the middle of the state sometime, which is pretty cool. But primarily it is for catching inshore slams, redfish and speckled trout and flounder and snook, mangrove snapper, etc. That's really the majority of all these reports. Yeah,
and the seasonal stuff like tarpon and triple tail, all that is obviously in there as well. You'll see it as it comes into play. Like I had, I don't really fly fish very much, and I was going through it, saw a post about some tarpon in Tampa Bay near where I was staying at the time. And so I went there a couple days later, brought the fly rod, which I rarely ever take, and I caught a tarpon on my fly rod. I literally had to blow the dust off of it when I started casting. And it was just something that, had it not been for that human intelligence, I would have not had that fun experience. So it's just, again, if you haven't given it a shot, if you enjoy catching inshore saltwater fishing and you haven't given this a shot, just can't emphasize enough. Just give it a try. You have a 365-day satisfaction guarantee that you're going to absolutely love it. And if somehow you don't, just let us know and you get a full refund.
Yep. Very simple. And you can go there at saltstrong.com, and there's a button at the top, or saltstrong.com/pricing to see our absolute best price and all the little cool things that you get. We get some free bonuses we're giving away to any new members. And obviously, if you're a current member, you're getting all that stuff as well in terms of some of the free courses and stuff we're throwing out. So the 3 things that our Insider Club encapsulates, if you will, is the real time, the feeding trends, fishing reports, and then coaching, as we've shown here today. Then we have the product discounts, and then we have the powerful network and the community. Those are the 3 things that separate this from anything else out there. There's just nothing else like it, which is why we have that crazy big, bold guarantee, 365 days. You will be catching more fish. You will become more consistent. You will definitely save money on your tackle. And you're hopefully going to meet some new friends. That's another really cool part. It's slowed down a little bit with COVID, but now it's starting to slowly pick back up, is doing meetups. We have a lot of people who would say, hey, I'm in North Carolina and Wrightsville, and who wants to meet up this Saturday? It's going to be a beautiful day. Let's all meet here. And 5-10 people will show up. And we've done quite a bit of those in Florida as well. Now some in Texas, and it's cool to see those happen, because that's when friendships are blossoming. People go out and have a beer afterwards, and they're sharing fishing stories and intel. That's pretty cool. I mean, to me, that's awesome. That's what community is all about. So I hope you guys will join us if you haven't. For those of you who have, thank you guys so much. You mean the world to us. It really is the foundation of the company. It's what Luke and I get excited about every morning to wake up. It's one of the first things I do every morning is check the community and see what's happened. I love seeing testimonials. I love seeing what's working, and we love the coaching aspect of it. So we want more of you. If you're a current member and you haven't been, doing any of this pre-trip planning stuff, start doing it. It doesn't mean you have to do it every single time, but start doing it. You'll be blown away with the kind of feedback you get. And if you're not a member, join today, test it out. It works. And even if you're not going to fish, I think that's one other objection we get is, I don't really have any trips coming up for the next 30 or 60 days. Well, that's even better time. Do it now so you can start watching all this stuff. You will have a massive edge. Don't ever wait the last second, because there's those 3 courses. I mean, each of them can take a couple hours to go through. Put all that stuff into your head, and you will have a massive advantage over the fish by time you go fishing on your next trip. We even have a lot of members who just come down to Florida or Texas or somewhere in the South like once or twice a year for like a month at a time. And the other 11 months, they're just watching this stuff and studying it. So that when we get there, they're armed and dangerous and ready to go. So that's at saltstrong.com. Come and join us in the Insider Club and start putting these 5 simple steps to the test. And then the 6th step after fishing with confidence is to, post your pictures and then rinse and repeat and do it all over again. So guys, thank you so much. Hopefully this was a helpful one for you. I know we didn't get into the weeds, and we have some other videos. We'll put some links on that in the show notes in terms of like how to do each one of these steps. But we wanted to give a big picture and really just a blueprint so you can have in your mind, all right, here's step number 1, just watch a 10-minute video. Step number 2 is go to smartfishing.tides.com. And step number 3 is pick 3 spots. And then some of you are just going to go right out from there and fish. The rest of you, hey, let's share these spots in the community and get some, some free coaching. Since I'm already, paying for the membership, let's get some coaching out of this and see what the members can help me with, and make sure I'm on the right path. And then boom, go out there and fish with more confidence than you've ever had before. So that's it. Lukey, anything else, brother?
No, good times.
Very good times. Very good times. All right, dude. Well, we'll have to do this because we're going to go fishing here this week, even though it's a little cold and windy, and we're going to have to put this to the test ourselves. So we'll do another video on that where we'll record our trip out there. And I don't know if we're wearing parkas or not, but it's definitely a little front coming through. So
it'll be fun.
Yeah, buddy. All right, guys. Appreciate it. Go to saltstrong.com. Pow! We out.
See ya.
'Cause fishing, it's in my soul, it was past